So you want to learn more about the CDL. Wait, no, not that CDL. This CDL, the Call of Duty League, obviously. Maybe you don't know some of the references or phrases, or you don't know any of the history of that CDL. Well, you came to the right video. In this video, I'll explain some brief history of the CDL, its players and teams, and some common terms you might hear on stream or talked about. If you learned anything from this video or want to know more, leave a like and a comment to let me know. With that, let's get into the first part of this video. The CDL began its inaugural season in 2020 with Modern Warfare 2019 as the first game played by the league. The league was created by Activision Blizzard, the creators of Call of Duty games. The league would be a city-based franchised league with 12 teams paying the $25 million to enter. 12 teams spanned from the United States, Canada, and Europe, each claiming a roster of 5 talented players. These first 12 teams were Atlanta FaZe, Dallas Empire, Florida Mutineers, Chicago Huntsmen, New York Subliners, London Royal Ravens, Toronto Ultra, Minnesota Rocker, Optic Gaming Los Angeles, Paris Legion, Seattle Surge, and Los Angeles Guerrillas. The CDL drastically changed up the common format COD esports players were used to. Instead of World Championship and other tournaments, the CDL now introduced home series and playoffs. There were 12 home series in this season with only 8 teams at each event. These teams would be broken into 2 brackets, which would then condense into one to determine the winner of the event. There was much controversy around this format as all teams would not be playing at every event. Once the season concluded, the top 8 teams competed in playoffs, with the Dallas Empire rising to the top and winning the first ever CDL season. This roster consisted of 2 of the most historic players in competitive Call of Duty history, Crim6 and Clayster, and 3 young all-stars, Hook, Illy, and Shotzi. Going into the second season of the CDL, the league had some changes. The biggest change was the CDL moving towards traditional 4-on-4, which saw every returning team need to drop 1 player from their starting roster. Coming into the season, 2 teams entered the league and 2 left to keep the overall number of teams at 12. The Los Angeles Thieves, owned by historic Optic Gaming ex-pro Nadeshot, made its debut in 2021. Hector Rodriguez, aka Hex, reacquired his long-term rights to the Optic Gaming branding. This came after Hex sold the rights to NRG before the first CDL season, which saw Hex owning the Chicago Huntsmen in this inaugural season. After bringing back his historic household gaming franchise, Optic moved back to Chicago. So this offseason saw Los Angeles Thieves and Optic Chicago in, and Optic Gaming LA and Chicago Huntsmen out. This second season, played on COD Black Ops Cold War, was played mostly online. This season, the CDL also lowered the amount of tournaments played down to 6, with 5 major tournaments hosted by a CDL team and the playoff tournament at the end of the season. This led the CDL to start group play before each tournament, where teams would be placed into 2 groups and play a round-robin style for seeding in the upcoming tournament. This season saw Atlanta FaZe beating Toronto Ultra in the championship, 2 consistent top dogs of the Cold War season. This season also saw the rise of the popular Twitch stream, The Flank, hosted by ex-pro Zuma and former analyst and manager of FaZe, Ben Nassim. This stream was an instant hit with fans as their post-game breakdowns and analysis was an ESPN SportsCenter-esque show the CDL had been missing. The Flank hosted guests of current and ex-pros to help with analysis and insights. The Flank is still being streamed and has grown and developed upon its inception, now offering watch parties during CDL events. Going into the Vanguard season, a major merge between 2 historic rivals shook up the CDL. Optic Gaming and Dallas Empire, owned by Envy, one of Optic's most fierce rivals, merged to form Optic Texas. This shook up the professional Call of Duty scene, with fans especially curious how the roster of this new powerhouse team would shape up. This also left a hole in the CDL, as there were only 11 teams with only a few weeks before the season started. With a little over a month before the season, Boston Breach, owned by the Crafts Sports Group, announced its entrance into the CDL, with the roster not being revealed until only days before the beginning of the season. The Vanguard season was a true return to LAN, in-person tournaments. This season only saw 4 major tournaments and the playoffs, showing the trend of lowering the amount of tournaments played by the CDL. Group play was also predetermined before the season began, allowing teams and fans to know the full schedule and removing the two-group play format. The Vanguard season was long and treacherous for many teams, as the Call of Duty title was not well received. The map pool was limited this season, and the return of squad spawns was not well liked by both pros and fans. After a dominant Cold War season, Atlanta FaZe failed to win a single major in Vanguard, with the Thieves coming out of nowhere to win the championship at the end of the season. This was not the only major upset in the Vanguard season, as the Los Angeles Guerrillas won Major 2, their first tournament win in the CDL, with a rookie substitute playing, Spark. Moving into the current season, the Modern Warfare 2 season, there were some roster moves and only one team change. This team change was the Paris Legion moving to the United States and becoming the Vegas Legion. The season so far has been perceived as excellent, as competition is at an all-time high, and Major 2 setting a new CDL viewership record. This season did, however, see the retirement of the most known and commonly known as the best Call of Duty player of all time, Scum. His heartfelt retirement video was seen all around Twitter and YouTube, as his influence on the professional scene undoubtedly got it to where it is today. While he still holds the Optic team close to heart, creating content and streaming watch parties with owner and companion Hex, his impact continues to grow on the scene. I will break down the terms into three categories: locations, general terms, and player terms. Starting with locations, there are many map-specific callouts that I will not go over as there's just too many for one video. Heady, or head glitch, refers to a spot on the map where a player's head is the only part of the body showing, but the player can still shoot and see over that piece of cover. P1 or P2 or P any number refers to a hardpoint location on a specific map. For example, this is the first hardpoint on Fortress, so this callout would be called P1. Spawn is where a player is currently spawning on the map, and each team should have their own distinct spawn locations. Rotation or row refers to rotating to an upcoming hardpoint, which is very important for holding the next point. A money hill is a hardpoint location that is usually held by a single team for its full duration. For general terms, there may be a lot that you've not heard of before. One of the most uncommonly known term is GA, which is a gentleman's agreement. This just refers to any item that players agree not to use but is not outright banned by the rule set. An ace is when you are playing a round of search and destroy and kill every player on the enemy team as a single player. A bait and switch is when one player challenges an opponent, hopefully getting them weak or out of position, and then runs to cover. Then a teammate pops up and kills the enemy that was baited. Chalked refers to when a team is losing so badly that they cannot come back. Deady refers to the field upgrade known as Dead Silence. A donut is when a player has 0 kills in a game. Ego chow is when a player over-challenges a gunfight out of confidence. First blood refers to the first kill in a round of search and destroy. Kill or time refers to the current hardpoint location. One shot or absolute means the player you're talking about is very weak and will take only one bullet to kill. Now for players, there are 3 major roles that you hear. A sub is a player who runs a submachine on the map and is usually playing fast-paced and in the enemy's face. An AR is someone who runs an assault rifle and holds power positions and spawns. A flex player is a player who can either run sub or AR and usually fills any needed role for the team. While there are more in-depth roles and terms used, these are the most common and important ones. Full list of terms will be linked in the description. Well, now you have some background on professional Call of Duty. Hope you learned something and enjoyed the video. If I missed anything that you want to know, leave a comment and I'll get to answer it. Have a great day and thanks for watching.